Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be looking at the first press car from Subaru, which is the Subaru Forester in the Black Edition and Platinum, which is a special edition that they brought out for the Forester. And we're going to look at everything that you need to know about it. So make sure to stay tuned and let's get right into it. So the starting price of the Subaru in its normal edition is going to be in the Trend variant around 38,000 euros. If you decide to get the Black Edition with the Platinum version in Germany, it's going to cost you 46,450 euros, which is a little bit of an extra, but you get a special edition and everything basically maxed out on the car. For instance, you can tell it's basically the Black Edition because you get every black touch that you can theoretically think about. The only thing that I kind of find weird is in the Black Edition you don't get the standard color in black, you get the ice white color in black. So this color for the black one is going to cost you 750 euros extra. I do like that you have the option to get other color schemes for the Black Edition, but just a standard color for black would have been nice for a Black Edition. Otherwise in the front you get full LED lights, which also have a cleaning system in here, so they do clean it. They have a front black grille in there. And down you also have this kind of carbon touches, which goes all around through the car, which does look pretty good. And also down here on your fog lights, you do also have your carbon touches and also in black. And also a pretty cool split design here on the hood. So you open it and you have half the grille basically lifted up, as well as the logo. For the engine, this is a pretty interesting one because it's a boxer engine, so you have a horizontal layout of the cylinders compared to an inline where you have it straight. That is going to give you less vibrations in the interior and just make it for a little bit more of a comfortable ride. It is also the Lineartronic gearbox, which is basically the CVT from Subaru, which is a little bit different. We're going to look at that once we're driving. And the engine that we have in here is a 4-cylinder naturally aspirated 2-liter boxer engine, which is going to produce 150 horsepower and 194 Newton meters. In combination, you also get a mild hybrid system, which has a 0.6 kilowatts an hour battery, and that's going to produce 16.7 horsepower and also 66 Newton meters with a Vmax of 188 kilometers an hour and also at 0 to 100 in around 11.8 seconds. And standard-wise, you also get an all-wheel drive system in here with also the two different modes in the inside. So the X off-road system, which is going to allow you to get a little bit more off-road capabilities from this car. You do also get 22 centimeters of ground clearance. So again, a little bit more height on that car. When it comes to the roof rails, these also come standard-wise with the Black Edition in black. When it comes to the size of the car, 4 meters and 64 long, a wheelbase of 2 meters and 67, 1 meter and 73 tall, like I already said, 22 centimeters of ground clearance, wide 1 meter and 81 without the side mirrors extended, and if you do extend them, if I open it, 2 meters and 6. And you can see we do also have automatically foldable side mirrors. With no side mirrors, you also get blind spot assistant and a fairly big window, which you'll definitely notice when driving. Very good surrounding view of this car. Tinted out rear windows. And when it comes to the rims, these are the standard 18-inch rims that you can get. The only thing that you're going to choose from is you can get 17 or 19-inch rims and a couple of different designs. These are the standard ones in this kind of blacked out design. And like I said, up to 19-inch if you really want that. The only thing that is not so nice is that the fuel tank in here is only 48 liters. And the car has a fairly high consumption, WLTP 8.1 combined. In the city 8.8 and on the highway 9.5 liters. So fairly high, and that's not going to get you too far, but we'll look at the exact figures once we're driving. And in the back you get a very big rear window, which you'll definitely notice when driving. Very good surrounding view like I already mentioned. Otherwise, Subaru all-wheel drive is black in here and also the Forester because of the Black Edition. You also get the carbon touch for the diffuser, again completely wrapped around in the car as well as in the inside. You can theoretically also tow up to 2,070 kilograms at 12% or at 8% incline. 12% incline is going to be 1,870 kilograms. We get an electrical boot, which we can open just with a press a button and a rear view camera there. You get a very big boot, 509 liters up to 1,779 liters, which is quite massive, and a very big side opening as well, with an okay height when it comes to the loading, as well as a little bit of storage space down here. I think in total was 15 liters, so not too much. But there's great functionality in here. For instance, you can flip the seats over from back here. You also have 2 coat hooks on each side, and also a 12-volt charging port down here, as well as another hook down there. In the back, it feels like an open floor plan. You got big, rear windows. You have big windows everywhere. You also have a very nice panoramic window up there, which you can actually open, which is nice. and a good amount of space here. You can see legroom is plenty. It's adjusted to me in the front, so 5'11" or me 1080. Also, my legs are good, my feet are good when it comes to the height as well. That's the amount of space I have there. I would have expected maybe a little bit more headroom. So I have around this much, that's around 4 centimeters or something. Like I said, me 1080, 5'11", so a little bit on the lower side. But that's also due to the fact, I think, of the panoramic window, because you can see back here it goes a little bit further down. Seating quality is also very nice. We have like these leather seats in here, which do feel good. Also a center console, which you get with 2 cup holders, which doesn't look like it's ever been touched, because the piano black looks fabulous in there. Quality on the side also fairly decent. Again, those fake carbon touches. You have automatic rear windows and a good amount of space for your bottles. We also have heated seats in the back for both of the seats. A 2.1 amp charging speed in here, which are both USB. And also a climate zone, but you don't have a normal climate zone. You just have 2 vents in the back, which allow you to get some more air in the back. But in general, a very, very nice seating position in the back. So join me in the inside, where you can see it is a little bit overwhelming the first time you step in here. You have 3 different displays. You got your main infotainment display, you have another display up there, and then you also have a smaller one between your analog instruments. The center one is going to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto via cable, so you can just connect that and use it. Otherwise, you have Subaru Starlink, for instance. That's also what the system is called, the Subaru Starlink infotainment display. You have maps in here and just a couple of other things. For instance, this is TomTom. That's what it's powered. I don't think you can do this. You actually have to, well, it just takes a little bit, I guess. There you go. But you can zoom in like this as well. Not the best. I usually just connect my phone, and that's the way to go with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have the Harman Kardon sound system in here, which does come with the Black Edition as well. And otherwise, quality, if you look up here, fairly decent. You have the fake carbon touches on the side as well. In general, a very nice interior when it comes to the quality. Feels fairly high class. And down here also your automatic gearbox, your CVT, and just a couple other buttons, which we're going to talk about a little bit more on So Driving. But when you step in here, he counted it over 60 individual buttons that you have. So the first time you step in here, like, oh, what am I looking at? Let's quickly go over a couple of them. Down here, for instance, if we start the engine up now, we can, for instance, change stuff with this button down here, which is going to give us our little display up there, which you can go through, get a couple of informations. Then you can also have the info button, which is going to change your views up there, where you can see a lot of things in the car that you might want to look at, but in general, just a lot of things that overwhelm you a little bit. You even have the small heads-up display up there, which I like to call is the Subaru warning heads-up display, which is just a small array of lights which project on certain situations, which we're hopefully going to see once we're driving. But otherwise, you have a great surrounding view of this car. If you look at the windows, they're just massive windows here. Even your C-pillar, you have a big window there, and then on the very back, another great window. Let's quickly drive it and talk about a couple of things. Actually, before we drive, let's quickly look at the modes, because these are just at lower speeds. Your X modes, which are for off-road, so you can switch between them. Up there, you can see deep snow, mud, and snow, or you can also have the snow and dirt. And going to show you inclination. You have hill descent mode assist, and then if you push it, you can also go back into normal drive. Up here, you can also see, if we go into the reverse, for instance, we can see our side view camera that we have on our side mirrors, and also rear view camera with indication of the lines where you're turning to. So let's now drive. And one thing you always got to do is turn off the parking brake before you start. It doesn't do it automatically. And the other thing, you also have auto vehicle hold, which you have to press every single time, and then you have auto hold. So it doesn't keep that information that you pressed it when you're starting the car. You have to reset it every time. You can hear the engine is now roaring a little bit at higher RPMs, but what it does good is at higher speeds, it simulates the gearbox as a 7-gear automatic gearbox. It only simulates them, it doesn't actually do much, but it really does lower the sound of the gearbox, because it simulates those 7 gears, and thereby introducing, let's go left, thereby creating a lower noise that the motor is going at, and making it more comfortable to drive at higher speeds compared to than your typical CVT gearboxes that we, for instance, had on the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. So at around 120 kilometers an hour, you're going to be averaging at around 2,200 RPMs. And you really don't want to go much faster than that, because then wind noises definitely pick up quite a lot. And also the steering input is a little bit it's more of a wobbly kind of steering input where you don't get much feedback from the road and you really get a lot of body lean as well. And while we're on that topic, let's also look at the consumption. If we go up here, we can see, for instance, that we had, if we go through here quickly, where is the button? There you go. We have an average of 8.7 liters. That's over the last 200 kilometers that we were driving on the Autobahn at fairly decent speeds at around 120 kilometers an hour. So not even fast, but 8.7 liters for a mild hybrid system as well. That should theoretically regenerate a little bit and help the engine consume a little bit less fuel. 8.7 is quite high. It claims around an 8.8 in the city. I've been getting around 9.5 in the city, so again, fairly high. And the fuel tank, only 48 liters, meaning you're gonna have to fuel this car quite a good amount of times due to the fact that you're just not gonna get very far. 8.7 liters, you can see right now, we have around 1/4 of the tank left, and we only get 170 kilometers of range. I have only driven this car around 500 kilometers, and I had to fuel the car one time already. When it comes to the suspension here, you just have a normal mechanically dampers. You cannot get active dampers, which you could theoretically get optional in some other competitors. So in here, the suspension is going to be a little bit more on the firmer side, but I think it does still do a fairly decent job in balancing out the bumps, but you definitely feel all of them. There's not going to be a single bump that's going to go unnoticeable, apart from the very, very smooth ones. But here you can even you'll hear the bumps. They're not going to be softened out too much, but with the seats, they're actually quite comfortable. So like I already mentioned, the car is going to have 150 horsepower and 194 newton meters. That's going to get you off the line fairly quickly because you do also have that mild hybrid system in here with another 16.7 horsepower and 66 newton meters. So at a traffic light, you're going to get okayly quick away, but then from 0 to 100, 11.8 seconds. Obviously not the quickest, but still for the city does have that little bit of a kick at the start, and therefore a fairly nice kick off the red line. So you have no problems of overtaking, for instance, a couple of cars. That's not going to be an issue. If you go down here, we can also have this button. That's going to show us the side camera. You can have that on at any speed that you want, which is nice, and quite a lot of safety features in here. The only thing that is not so nice, you don't have parking sensors in the front, but you do get a rear view camera, which we already looked at. No 360-degree camera. But otherwise, you get a good amount of safety features. Everything comes standard. For instance, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, lane centralization. You also have adaptive cruise control, like I said, blind spot assistant, and also a camera system which is going to detect if there's still a person in the inside. So if there's, for instance, somebody sitting in the back, it's going to notice, okay, let's get that person out, and give you a notification before you go out. Make sure that you look at the rear. Also, it does detect if there's actually two people sitting in the front, and then it's going to change the climatization for that. It's going to activate both of those zones, but if there's no passenger, it's only going to activate the driver's climate, which is another cool thing. And in general, you're getting an NCAP norm of 5 stars, so very good. And with adults interior safety of 97%, very high. The only thing that's a little bit lower is the safety assist. That's I think on 78%, but still fairly high. And especially not something you might expect from a car at this price segment to get so many safety features. And there you go. You can see now you got those 2 yellow lines in there. That's just an indication that you left your lane, and just like a small heads-up display which warns you of things. Also, if you have adaptive cruise control on, that's also going to show you, okay, it detects there's a person in front of you, and it's going to give you a green light, for instance. You also have a turning circle of around 11.6 meters in this car, so a fairly high one, but still fairly maneuverable around the city. And you also, at lower speeds, have a very hard time turning this car, especially when you're trying to park. You're going to have to use a lot of muscles to turn the steering wheel. And it doesn't, well, at higher speeds it feels very light, but then at lower speeds it's just very, very hard to turn and not the most comfortable. So what is my final verdict on the Subaru Forester? Well, I do like the fact that they don't really change anything when it comes to the design over the years. They have changed minimalistic, but in the inside, not too much. Over the 25 years of lifespan of this car, not much has changed. It is a very practical car. It has good surrounding view. Like I already said, very big space in the inside as well as in the trunk. You get a great safety feature standard-wise on this car, very, very safe car, and a good amount of equipment. The only thing that I really don't like about this car is the consumption. The consumption is extremely high, and I did not expect that to be this high, especially even though it uses a mild hybrid system. Well, you don't get really far with that fuel tank. If you did like the video, make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.